Колеги, будь ласка, займайте свої місця.
Colleagues, please take your seats, and we are going to start in a minute.
Пані та панове, раді вітати вас.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to welcome you to Kyiv at the meeting of Ukraine Energy Coordination Group, so-called Energy Ramstein. In a minute, we are going to speak about the future, but let's first commemorate the past. On the 26th of April 1986, the horrible disaster happened in the history of humankind. Explosion of the reactor at Chernobyl power plant, nuclear power plant. The lives of civilians and military personnel who witnessed and were affected by Chernobyl catastrophe changed forever. Let's bow our heads and commemorate the victims of the tragedy, firefighters, doctors, military personnel who sacrificed their life to protect Ukrainians. A minute of silence.
Прошу сідати.
Please take your seats.
Prime Minister, Honorable European Commissioners, Madam President of European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, dear Director General of IAEA, distinguished ministers, ambassadors, special envoys, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, friends. Today, on the 40th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster, we have come together to respond to new and unprecedented challenges facing Ukraine, Europe, and the whole world. 40 years ago, the explosion at Unit 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant shocked the world and became a turning point in how global energy and nuclear safety were understood. Today, Russia's daily terror against hundreds of Ukraine's energy facilities is the clearest sign of a new large-scale threat, one that once again requires a joint international response. Ukraine is deeply grateful to everyone who has stood with us for more than 4 years in this struggle, but we need your further support to strengthen our energy resilience, and we count on this new framework for cooperation, the Ukraine Energy Coordination Group, to help us mobilize the scale of support that is needed. Today we will discuss Ukraine's priority needs for restoring and strengthening the energy sector, as well as the key areas on which we must now focus. It is now my pleasure to invite the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko, to take the floor. Yulia Anatolyevna, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, dear friends, dear commissioners, dear Director General, dear Anatolyevich, thank you for being with us today, and I'm sincerely grateful for answering our call to convene the third ministerial of the G7 and Ukraine Energy Coordination Group in Kyiv. Symbolically, on the day we mark the 40th anniversary of the Chernobyl tragedy. Chernobyl has become a lesson that reshaped global approach to energy safety. Nearly 4 decades later, Russia is still undermining them, endangering the safety of Chernobyl and Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plants, threatening Ukraine's energy system as a foundation of civilian life, trying to weaponize energy. Thus, it's essential that the International Atomic Energy Agency's presence at Ukrainian nuclear sites, including occupied Zaporizhzhia. Last winter, we went through another challenging period in our history. You know it, and we have been under constant attacks, and we have suffered significant losses in both production and generation capacity. In the most difficult times, you, our friends, our partners, came to help. I thank all of our countries, institutions, and of course to your nations and people for standing with Ukraine shoulder to shoulder. Still, the aggressor shows no willingness to end its brutal war, and we have to be prepared for the further attempts to repeat this scenario then. At the same time, developments of the Middle East do not add optimism, and their consequences are already negatively affected the global energy market. So our task is to stay united and ready. First, the focus on strategic reconstruction of the energy system. We have already begun to prepare for the upcoming heating seasons and implementation of the regional energy resilience plans based on 4 main pillars. The first one is protection of the critical infrastructure, second, uninterrupted heating, then secured water supply and water waste, and development distributed generation. The priority, the first one is a physical protection. The construction works have already started on 80% of the key energy sites, and we really hope that we would be ready to implement the works before the beginning of heating season, but we actually rely here on your support. We aim to add at least 4 gigawatts of new capacity through cogeneration units and modular boiler house to back up the critical infrastructure and to free up this capacity for the public use and public needs. What is emerging is not just recovery, it's a new model, so it's a more resilient, more flexible and decentralized, deeply integrated into European and global markets. Second is urgent repair needs that are still highly needed to support the system's operation. We continue to face attacks on energy. Urgent needs in high voltage transformers, grid equipment, generators, gas-based generation units, and broader solution for decentralized energy supply remain. According to requests submitted by Ukrainian energy companies to the Ukraine Energy Support Fund, the current unfunded needs amount to almost $1 billion, of which $158 million represent the most urgent requirements for the ongoing repair campaign. So the third is the focus on nuclear energy and nuclear safety. Last winter, nuclear energy clearly demonstrated its value, with power plants providing almost 60% of Ukraine's electricity. Nuclear power plant proved that to be effective and stable source if operated responsibly and sustainably. So we're strengthening the resilience of our nuclear sector. This includes reducing dependence on Russian technology, diversifying nuclear fuel supplies, and development for future nuclear capacity, including small modular reactors. Fourth is our energy component of the EU integration. A modernized energy system in Ukraine will make an important contribution as we integrate into a European energy market and work together to build a diversified Europe that is independent of Russia. The electricity integration package, which is central to market coupling, was adopted on 7th of April. We're extremely grateful for our members of the parliament, and we will follow the adoption of the secondary legislation. Key priorities include cross-border planning, emergency coordination, and market coupling. Work is ongoing on the renewable energy directives. Last but not the least, reforms. We fully recognize the resilience also depends on the structural sustainability of the economy and depends on reforms. We have already made tangible progress. We adopted a number of key reforms aligned with EU integration and Ukraine facility requirements, advanced in strengthening anti-corruption framework, improved corporate governance reform of the state-owned enterprises by re-establishing supervisory boards in line with international best practices. Early this month, our parliament adopted additional key reforms under the Ukraine facility and IMF program, enabling the release of approximately $2.7 billion in financing. Of course, we are welcoming a positive decision on the 90 billion euro loan in support of Ukraine. Great efforts have been made. So, dear friends, we continue to work together to strengthen Ukraine's energy resilience as a key part of European security. And I would like to thank you for your continued support, for your contribution, and encourage you to further partner with us in the building of modern Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister of Ukraine. My name is Mechthild Wörsdorfer. I will moderate the session of our Ukraine Energy Coordination Group, G7 Plus Energy Ramstein. So the first session is about the winter preparedness of 2026-2027. What is the current stage of preparedness? How can countries and organizations help each other in the preparation for the next winter? What should be done to support Ukraine? So the first speaker is my commissioner. It's a pleasure to invite you to speak. Dan Jørgensen, Commissioner for Energy and Housing.
Thank you. Excellencies, friends, it is a true pleasure to see you all this morning. As you all know, our collective challenges have been compounded by the war in the Gulf and the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. Global energy markets have been volatile and prices have gone up for all energy carriers. Still, this week alone, we can claim some important achievements. The Ukraine support loan is now approved by the EU, and the 20th sanctions package has also been adopted. And despite the crisis in the Middle East, EU member states and Ukraine continue to refill our gas stocks in time for next winter. However, we cannot rest on our laurels. It is crucial that we step up our planning for the resilience and preparedness of Ukraine's energy system ahead of a potential Russian onslaught next winter. President Zelensky has written to President von der Leyen outlining Ukraine's most pressing energy needs and how EU countries can help. It is vital that we respond effectively and coordinate our efforts. We already have good channels for these coordinated efforts. There is our Repair, Rebuild and Restart initiative launched by President von der Leyen earlier this year. There is the Ukraine's Energy Support Fund, which has reached 2 billion euros in pledges. This fund is now more flexible to finance repair stocks ahead of next winter in order to minimize supply disruptions from Russia's attacks. Finally, we must continue to advance Ukraine's integration into EU energy markets. Integration delivers immediate benefits, enabling electricity and gas flows that are crucial for Ukraine's resilience. This week, Ukraine reached a major milestone. The electricity market integration law has been signed by President Zelensky. We must build on this momentum because Ukraine is a key partner for EU energy security, now and in the future. So, let's maintain the good progress for all of our benefit. I will now hand the floor to Dennis for an update from his side before we turn to the distinguished participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If I may ask for presentation. So, dear colleagues, you have the presentation in front of you and plus on the screens. So, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, we are meeting today on a deeply symbolic date, the 40th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster. We remember the scale of the danger that once hung over Europe and the world. We remember the price that was paid to avert an even greater catastrophe. And we remember the sustained effort Ukrainians undertook to make that possible. Unfortunately, today the level of threat is once again extraordinary and unprecedented, but for different reasons, Russia has unleashed terror against Ukraine's civilian infrastructure and, above all, against our energy sector. Last winter marked the peak of Russia's energy terror. The enemy launched more than 70 missiles and over 20,000 drones, primarily against energy facilities. It damaged more than 9 gigawatts of generation capacity. Every major power plant, gas production, infrastructure site, and distribution system came under attack. Not a single significant energy asset in Ukraine remained untouched. At peak demand in this winter, even with record levels of imports, we faced a massive capacity deficit of 6 gigawatts. Russia believed Ukraine would collapse, but that not did happen for three key reasons. The first was the heroism of the Ukrainian military and Ukrainian energy workers. The second was the steady support of our partners, of yours. Thank you so much for this. And the third reason was coordinated management and decision making. We were able to redistribute resources quickly and effectively in order to support those communities that were felt without electricity and heating during the winter. Preparation for the next winter, as Madam Prime Minister said, is now a major challenge for us. To get through it successfully, Ukraine's energy system needs an additional 6.5 gigawatts of capacity. On this, we plan to restore 4.5 gigawatts through repairs and add another around 2 gigawatts through distributed cogeneration and renewable energy. Our priorities are clearly defined. There is 5 priorities. First, protection of energy infrastructure, active protection with support of our partners. It means complexes of missile interceptors, primarily Patriot systems and PAC-3 to protect us against ballistics. We have successful experience to destroy 100% of cruise missiles. We have more or less successful experience to destroy and intercept around 90% and even higher of drones, but we still can't intercept ballistic missiles all around Ukraine. So active protection with support of partners is #1 priority. So-named passive protection, it means concrete shelters with pre-detonation screens on the all energy objects. This is another type of protection which we need to build, to construct, and this is absolutely continuous work, because these structures should be covered all the energy objects. The second priority is accelerating of the procurement of equipment and materials for repairs. A key role here is played by ensuring sufficient resources for the Ukraine Energy Support Fund. So for me, we have this conversation with Mr. Commissioner, with Dan, with Director of Energy Community. Ukraine Energy Support Fund is the main instrument for support of energy sector of Ukraine from partners. So now we continue fundraise financial resources, equipment, and other needs of Ukraine. We place great hopes in the single energy pipeline mechanism. It's another one mechanism created here in Ukraine. On the level of Cabinet of Ministers, we coordinated all the ministries, all the communities, all the regions to combine, to collect all of the projects. And we need to go ahead. Our broader strategic objective is the creation of so-called energy cells, autonomous or semi-autonomous clusters where critical infrastructure can continue operating even if the central grid is damaged. So it's important to increase resilience of Ukrainian society and energy system. Fourth priority is a major repair campaign, which is already underway. This includes recovery, technical re-equipment and modernization of critical infrastructure, strengthening resilience, deploying energy storage systems and microgrids, and much more. Our experts have inspected 8 decommissioned thermal power plants in Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia, Austria and Croatia. We have identified the equipment that can be brought to Ukraine, and we are now moving to the next stage, physical delivery and onward transfer to damaged energy facilities. So logistics and decommissioning is a very important part of support which we need from our partners. It's also vital to create an equipment reserve in order to accelerate repairs. At present, our need for such reserve equipment is estimated at around 293 million euros, and that figure will clearly continue to grow. Fifth priority is building up gas reserves. By the start of winter, we need to have 14.6 billion cubic meters of gas in storage. Here we rely both on domestic gas production and on partner support. Dear colleagues, Ukraine sees itself as an integral part of Europe. Our energy systems are becoming more deeply integrated with each passing year. Ukraine has adopted a law that creates a broad framework for further integration into the EU market. Prime Minister told about this legislation changes, about reforms. We are on our way and very actively cooperate with the Parliament to implement all 4 benchmarks of European Commission, of European Union, to be ready for the negotiations on the membership. Nuclear safety standards will also be aligned with European requirements, which will strengthen the resilience of the nuclear generation sector. Corporate reform is moving forward as well. It's a big priority for our Cabinet of Ministers, for personally Prime Minister, for Ministry of Energy. New supervisory boards are being formed at strategically important energy companies with the participation of qualified professionals, I mean international independent members of supervisory boards. This helps to bring governance into line with the OECD standards of transparency, accountability, integrity and efficiency. An essential part of our comprehensive winter preparedness efforts is the implementation of regional resilience plans and the national resilience plan. The protection of critical infrastructure, the development of distributed generation, backup and alternative power supply, the decentralization of the heat production are the core areas on which we put our focus. Ukraine needs at least 5.4 billion euros to complete this work successfully and on time before the cold season begins. The largest funding needs are in these areas: construction of protective structures, restoration and protection of energy infrastructure in Kyiv and other regions, and district heating. We have a clear plan for how to direct support where it will have the greatest and fastest impact. One of the key achievements of our joint work is the creation of a new architecture of cooperation, an energy task force with a three-layer governance model. First, political level; second, secretariat; third, dedicated delivery unit. We are building a clear trajectory from needs to projects, from projects to deliveries, from deliveries to financing, and from financing to responding end results. And actually, our today's third meeting on the level of the UECG group means that this infrastructure is created, works, and I'm really grateful to all of you for participating, not just politically, but actively supporting Ukraine, making your contributions and working not just on the political level, but also on the working level. So now everything is going on, and we have hope that we will be absolutely ready for the next tough winter under Russian pressure. So 3 instruments. The first sources accumulated there are used for electricity and heat network repairs, recovery of generation, restoration of gas infrastructure. And I will repeat, this instrument is, from my point of view, one of the most important for financial support of Ukrainian recovery in the energy sphere. The second instrument is humanitarian support for communities, social infrastructure and energy companies. And the third instrument is international technical assistance. All of these directions could be implemented through the single energy pipeline mechanism. We are currently coordinating more than 40 active projects and programs supported by the United States, the European Union, Germany, Japan, Norway, Sweden, France, the United Kingdom, Denmark, Belgium, international financial institutions, and the UNDP. I also grateful to other partners for your humanitarian efforts and contributions. We now propose to connect these instruments into a single algorithm for supporting Ukraine, the single energy pipeline. It consists of generators works. Sorry for this, but it's Ukraine, it's our energy system. So you have presentations in front of you. We will not wait while the screens will turn on. I will continue if you let me. So about single energy pipeline. It consists of 5 straightforward steps leading to a clear result. Step 1. A donor offers the assistance it is able to provide. Step 2, that offers transmitted to the EU Civil Protection Mechanism Operational Center, the Emergency Response Coordination Center. ERCC coordinates with Ukraine to confirm acceptance of the assistance. The ERCC signals agreement to the donor and the delivery phase begins. And the assistance is delivered to Ukraine. So 5 simple steps which will help us to be fast into the recovery and bring in the equipment to the Ukraine. The optimal use of the Ukraine Energy Support Fund is also very important to us. At present, the volume of required financial resources is 829 million euros. So you have this 9 slide on the presentation. These resources will be directed toward repairs, the expansion of the distributed generation, the build-up of equipment reserves, the purchase of natural gas, and the other related priorities that are critical to our winter readiness. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sincerely grateful for your high level of solidarity you continue to show. Every contribution matters. Every contribution from you is valuable. Every contribution delivers results. Over these more than 4 years of standing together, we have achieved great results. Unprecedented efforts were made to ensure that darkness did not prevail. And even today, we win the battle with darkness, and we have a light in this room. We will have a light in Ukraine during the winter time. Thank you so much for your presence here. I believe that our solidarity, in the name of our shared ideals and our shared pragmatic interests, Ukraine will endure, light will prevail. Thank you for your attention. Let's continue.
Yeah, if I may interrupt, thank you so much. We are actually running on generators right now because there has been we were out of electricity, and right now we are practically seeing how it's working when you are generating.
So, thank you very much, dear First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy. It was a comprehensive presentation, and we all have it also in paper, yes. And so we are well aware of all the points made. Thank you very much. Next speaker is Madame Odile Renaud-Bassot, EBRD President. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And ministers, partners, friends, thank you for convening at this very critical moment. As we know, Ukraine's system is under a sustained attack, and we can feel it today, and winter preparation must accelerate now. And it should link the emergency response with credible reforms and investments to ensure Ukraine's long-term energy security. EU-led joint energy plan for 2026 provide solid guidance in this respect. And as outlined by Minister of Energy, main immediate tasks are to first protect critical infrastructure, second, enact speedy repairs, third, roll out distributed generation, fourth, fill in gas storage at reasonable prices, and fifth, ensure availability of electricity import capacity. So first, where do we stand at EBRD? On generation alone, our pipeline for 2026 looks to support around 700 megawatt of renewable gas peaker and storage capacities for electricity generation that should be ready for the winter, and over 400 megawatt of heat capacity in the municipal sector to contribute to Ukraine's energy resilience. So subject to successful procurement, we expect 700 megawatt of EBRD's finance project to come online before the winter. And this is in addition of 180 megawatt of distributed renewable energy we already supported via our partner banks through decentralized financing framework. And we also stand ready to support other priorities like we did last year, for example, with NAC import of gas, if need be. Second, how can we help each other? On the emergency response, we should reduce timeline for commitments to installation and repairs. And for this, Ukraine can strengthen single coordinated pipeline to align donor support and preposition replacement equipment and build reserve stocks for frequently hit assets. On the partner side, they should utilize channels like the Aid Energy Platform and Ukraine Energy Support, the Minister Support Fund the Minister presented, to deliver equipment and physical protection required by Ukraine at speed. And with our rapid implementation readiness assessment, we will continue to identify and help to close practical bottlenecks across implementing entities to ensure efficiency. Third, what must be done? Emergency mode is key, but it's not enough. We should continue working on structural long-term response. The foundational course is a modern EU-integrated energy system in a European network. So first, SOE reform are keys. In the fifth year of war, most of our SOE partners have liquidity issues. Partners are ready to help, but to continue receiving support, it's essential to continue the progress on governance reform of SOEs, ensuring their autonomy and independent regulation. Second, to close the current 9 gigawatt gap, Ukraine needs to attract private investors at scale. Predictable and transparent regulatory environment is key to this objective. So Ukraine should continue reinforcing credible market rules, tackling distortions and protecting vulnerable consumers. And third, we must also create market mechanisms to encourage renewables development. So with the World Bank and with donors, we are working to advance a 1 gigawatt ramp-up platform, which will provide revenue stabilization for developers and mitigate market risk. And we hope this platform to be operational very soon. To conclude, the bridge to Ukraine's European energy future is being built now through coordinated protection, rapid delivery, transparency, and investable market rules. We are fully committed to continue to do our part with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. I would now like to give the floor to Mr. Valdis Dombrovskis, who is EU Commissioner for Economy and Productivity. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Prime Minister, Honorable First Vice Prime Minister, colleagues. Russia's aggression does not stop at the front line. It targets critical energy infrastructure, leaving civilians without basic services, and damages nuclear sites across the country, raising nuclear safety concerns well beyond Ukraine's borders. We therefore welcome this initiative of the First Deputy Prime Minister for this meeting to discuss Ukraine's energy challenges alongside our international partners. Since the very first days of Russia's full-scale invasion, the European Union has stood firmly by Ukraine, To date, the EU, together with its member states and European financial institutions, has mobilized more than 200 billion euros in support of Ukraine, making us by far the largest Ukraine's international donor. Looking ahead, the European Commission has now adopted the 90 billion Ukraine support loan. So around 60 billion euros are allocated for defense and 30 billion for budget support. It will play a crucial role in helping Ukraine sustain essential services and invest in reconstruction, including energy infrastructure. The implementation of the Ukraine support loan is progressing. EU member states have reached agreement on the loan itself and green-lit the financial strategy for 2026. So for this year, it foresees 28 billion euros in financing for defense and 17 billion euros of budget support, including for energy needs. We are now working hard with Ukrainian authorities to finalize a memorandum of understanding setting out the conditions for Ukraine to receive this financing. Our aim is to make the first disbursement as soon as possible, so we're aiming late May, early June. Overall, the Ukraine support loan is expected to cover up to 2/3 of Ukraine financing needs for 2026-2027. Against this backdrop, we expect our international partners to continue to step up their support. This is why it's so important to engage with them on the support Ukraine needs in Kyiv today. As we mark the 40th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster, we condemn Russia's reckless attacks against new safe confinement and another nuclear sites across the country. The damage made in Chernobyl risks having disastrous consequences for us all. These are war crimes and crimes against humanity. We are working hard to set up a special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine, because Russia must be held accountable. Until this happens, we are committed to supporting Ukraine alongside our international partners to urgently repair the damaged protective structure upon which our safety depends, and on broader energy needs. In February, President von der Leyen announced a 920 million euros package to measures help prepare Ukraine for next winter. Winter called Repair, Rebuild and Restart. It will help stabilize Ukraine's energy system and secure the steady flow of electricity across the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And last but not least, in that opening session, I would like to give the floor to Muriel Lacoue-Labarthe, who is Special Envoy of the President of the French Republic for Ukraine and now the G7 presidency. Muriel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Prime Minister, dear First Deputy Prime Minister, Excellencies. As G7 presidency, France remains fully committed to supporting Ukraine through these dire times, in particular in the energy sector, which is proving so crucial to the war. As we gather today in this G7 Energy Support Group, which is also the Ramstein Energy Support Group, let me commend the preparations initiated by the Ministry of Energy in the Resilience Plan, which identify both short-term needs for the next heating season and longer-term needs for an energy sector that is resilient and fully connected to the European system. While part of the needs will be covered by the Ukraine Energy Support Fund and the Ukraine Support Loan triggered by the European Union, we also remain focused on providing support to preparations for the next winter, for which bilateral contributions and in-kind donations are also essential and need to proceed as soon as possible. In France, we are in constant discussions with private companies as well as local authorities to ensure that we deliver available equipment as we find it. Working with the Energy Ministry, we also understand that the need is not only financial or in terms of equipment, but also technical expertise and human resources support. We will continue working with you to identify how the international community, energy operator, power producers, grid operators can be of help in that context. As G7 presidency, we of course, also remain fully committed in support of securing financing for the repair of the Chernobyl new safe confinement dome, led by the EBRD. The Foreign Affairs, Finance and Development tracks are focusing their work in preparation for the G7 summit, which will happen mid-June in Evian. And our next step is the Finance Ministers meeting on 18th, 19th May, where contributions are expected to materialize, but the G7 will, of course, also continue reaching out to partners. There is much for us to learn from Ukraine, and looking ahead, we also look forward to the time when it can make full use of its potential as a contributor to the European energy security. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. And now we would like to start with the G7 participants. And I will go first to Minister and then according to the other countries. So I will start with Michael Shanks, who's Minister of State, Department of Energy Security and Net Zero from the UK. Please.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, for bringing us together, and good morning to everyone. It is a privilege to be here in Kyiv, and I think hugely important to be here in person, as partners united by our determination to strengthen Ukraine's energy security against the continued aggression from Russia. And the proximity to the 40th anniversary of Chernobyl is a powerful reminder of the importance of our continued resilience, but also of international cooperation, themes that remain hugely central to what we are trying to achieve today. After a winter of sustained and devastating attacks on your energy infrastructure, your recovery and reconstruction needs are greater than ever, and yet Ukraine has once again determined remarkable resilience in keeping the energy system functioning. And being here in Kyiv is a powerful reminder not only of Ukraine's strength, but of what the international community can also learn from Ukraine. Yesterday, I had the privilege to visit a power plant, with thanks to Deputy Minister Kutsevol for joining me, to see firsthand what Ukrainian engineers are doing day after day to keep that power plant running and to keep the energy flowing in Ukraine while under sustained attack. And so just as UK companies are learning from Ukraine's experience in defence and innovation and drones, there's growing interest in the lessons we can learn from what you're doing on energy infrastructure as well. I also had the opportunity yesterday to visit the National Academy of Sciences and to speak to some of the projects that are developing cutting-edge technology with UK universities with the Innovate Ukraine funding. Our collective task now is to act early and decisively to prepare for the next winter, accelerating those repairs, securing equipment and spare capacity well ahead of the upcoming winter, and of aligning partners behind what you are seeking to achieve. The G7 group remains well placed to lead on this, and the UK looks forward to playing its full part. Support through the Ukraine Energy Support Fund is central to the effort, and our £20 million contribution announced in February is partly about recognising the importance of acting early. That brings the UK's full support to £173 million, and we welcome the work of that fund in driving forward that early delivery for critical equipment and building up stockpiles, and we encourage all other donors to continue that momentum towards that fund. Energy will remain a crucial part of our emergency recovery and support work through the UK-Ukraine 100-year partnership, which reflects, I hope, our absolute commitment to the long-term rebuilding of Ukraine. Can I thank you again for bringing us together for this vital discussion? The UK stands with you today and in the future, and we look forward to finding new ways that we can help deliver your energy security into the coming winter and to ensure our collective resolve as you win this war. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the UK. I will now turn to the US. Joshua Foltz, Special Envoy for Energy Integration at the US Department. And yes, I know, of Energy, and Mr. Andrew Rapp, Strategic Advisor to the Secretary of Energy. I'll give you both the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, ministers, distinguished guests and friends. On this solemn anniversary, We remember all those who were tragically impacted by the events of April 26, 1986. But we are also here in support of and solidarity with our Ukrainian allies as they once again face hardship and grave challenges. The United States and Ukraine continue to strengthen our government and private sector engagement, looking forward to a not too distant future, working together to rebuild and expand Ukraine's energy infrastructure. That includes a robust civil nuclear industry that will include the most advanced technologies, best practices, and highest standards for large-scale nuclear power. The resourcefulness, innovation, and determination of the Ukrainian people has become very clear for all the world to see. We stand ready to work together to apply these skills towards an abundant energy future for the benefit of Ukraine, for the benefit of Europe, and for the benefit of the world. Thank you for having us here and convening this session.
Thank you very much also to the US. I will now go to Ambassador Natalga Kmok. It's the Ambassador of Canada to the Ukraine. Please.
Доброго ранку, Deputy Prime Minister, distinguished guests, colleagues. Ukraine is a key foreign policy priority for Canada and Canadians. The conflict in the Middle East will not distract or diminish our support for Ukraine as it faces continued Russian attacks on its energy infrastructure. We acknowledge the repercussions of the current conflict in the Middle East on energy security and the energy prices impacts all corners of the globe, including Ukraine. We are happy to see the advancement of the objectives of the MOU signed between Canada and Ukraine on the margins of the IEA ministerial between Canada's Minister of Energy, of Natural Resources, and Minister Schmehal to strengthen our energy cooperation at this very critical time. Canada continues to support the decentralization of energy resources in Ukraine as a way to build and maintain energy security. Canada continues to work with the International Energy Agency and is a regular contributor to the Ukraine Joint Working Program. We are pleased to see 3 Canadians are offering leadership to the Ukraine's state-owned enterprises. 2 Canadians have recently even been appointed as chairs. So that's Duncan Nightingale for the board as chair, as board member of the Independent Supervisory Board of Naftogaz, Rumina Velshi, chair of Ukraine's state nuclear operator Energoatom's new cyber supervisory board. And this is in addition to Mark Vidvitsky, a member of the supervisory board of Forest of Ukraine. Canada recently announced an additional 20 million Canadian dollars of the Ukraine Energy Support Fund, building on the 70 million previously contributed. This funding supports the competitive, demand-driven procurement and delivery of urgently needed energy equipment to Ukraine and energy companies. And Canada continues to work with G7 partners to address Ukraine's energy security and reconstruction needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I will now turn to Ambassador Heiko Thoms, who is the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to the Ukraine.
Deputy Prime Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, energy security and energy safety are indeed a crucial element in the fight against the Russian aggressor. Russia's war of aggression is also, and not to a small extent, a war on the civilian energy infrastructure which serves no military purpose, and let's not forget, every attack on civilian infrastructure is indeed a war crime. Ukrainians have shown incredible strength in the face of these attacks. Behind us lies the toughest winter in 2 decades, the toughest winter in this war so far, and as many have been here this winter, it was indeed tough. One could be tempted to say that if Ukrainians can withstand these attacks, they can withstand everything, but let's not forget this does not only require resolve, it also requires preparation, and in this, Germany will be standing by Ukraine's side. Just this spring, we will be delivering dozens of mobile combined heat and power plants and mobile boiler stations, which will be serving more than 3 million people next winter. We have invested 1.2 billion euros in bilateral assistance in the energy sector so far. with 560 million euros. We remain the biggest donor of the Ukrainian Energy Support Fund. And during the bilateral government consultations just 2 weeks ago in Berlin, we have upgraded German-Ukrainian relations to a strategic partnership. During these consultations, we have agreed, maybe most importantly, that we will be providing and financing hundreds of Patriot interceptors over the next years, and also additional RST launchers, which are extremely effective against Russian cruise missiles. And we have announced another 230 million euros of additional civilian support, including energy assistance again. We know, however, that this is not sufficient. We urge all partners to explore further possibilities of support and step up their efforts. And we welcome that the Council has cleared the path for the 90 billion euro loan for Ukraine just a few days ago. One last point. Ukraine is becoming more and more a crucial security provider for Europe and beyond, and can contribute valuable lessons for us in enhancing energy security and resilience of our energy systems. So this is why we are looking forward to welcoming partners in Berlin in May for the conference Energy Security Lessons from Ukraine, where those lessons can be discussed in greater depth. Let us continue the valuable work of this group in preparing for next winter together. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Germany. I turn now to the Ambassador Carlo Formosa, who's the Ambassador of Italy to Ukraine.
Deputy Prime Minister, distinguished guest, energy resilience is not only a technical priority, but a strategic imperative for Ukraine's stability and security. Italy remains fully mobilized to support Ukraine and its population, particularly in the energy sector. Our contribution has been both substantial and concrete, as we have disbursed over 3 billion euros in assistance to Ukraine, excluding military and EU support, with more than 240 million euros specifically allocated to the energy sector since 2022. We are now sustaining these efforts through our package for winter 2025-2026, worth nearly 1 million euros, while continuing to work through key international partners to reinforce the stability of Ukraine's energy system as its critical infrastructure. At the same time, our support is designated to deliver immediate impact on the ground. This includes in-kind assistance. This winter, nearly 200 boilers and a dozen generators, as well as contribution from the Italian private sector, providing solar panel, diesel generators, and storage system. These efforts are complemented by measures to protect critical infrastructure. Looking ahead, the scale of needs remains significant. Sustained and coordinated donor support will be essential, and only to address immediate challenges, but also to prepare for the coming winter and to underpin Ukraine's long-term recovery. In this regard, strengthening the protection of energy infrastructure, including through enhanced air defense, will remain a key factor, and Italy is contributing to such. At the same time, reconstruction offers a strategic opportunity to build a more resilient, decentralized and sustainable energy system, fully aligned with European standards and less exposed to external vulnerabilities. We therefore welcome Ukraine's continued reform to modernize and liberalize its energy market, improve transparency and align its regulatory framework with that of the European Union. This effort represent a decisive step towards Ukraine's full integration into the European energy market and ultimately into the European Energy Union. In this spirit, Italy will continue to work closely with Ukraine and all partners to ensure that the country is equipped to face the next winter while advancing steadily towards a secure, resilient and fully integrated European energy system. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Italy. I turn now to Ambassador Masashi Nakagome, the ambassador of Japan to Ukraine. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to express our appreciation for the initiative taken by Ukraine, France, and the European Commission for this very important meeting on the day of 40 years after Chernobyl incident. Russia's deliberate attacks on energy infrastructure in the middle of toughest winter in decades constitute a weaponization winter and cannot be justified. I reiterate our strong condemnation of these attacks. To date, Japan has supported energy supply and the protection of its facility through the provision of cogeneration units, gas turbines, generators, transformers, gabions, and other equipment. Japan will work with Ukraine in preparing the 2026 winter season. With Japan support, 7 large transformers and 1 modular boiler houses will be ready for the coming winter. Japan will also provide cables necessary for connecting the generators and 6,400 gabion units for the protection of energy infrastructure. Further, Japan will provide 62 medium-sized transformers and 1 large crane for power infrastructure repairs, as well as additional US$4 million support for the electricity and heating sectors. Furthermore, Japan has provided a total of 20 billion in assistance, including the 6 billion in financial support in budget support announced last December and 41 billion in grant aid for reconstruction recovery commenced this February. We must not tolerate unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force. Peace in Ukraine must be just and lasting. It is essential that all parties, including G7, stand united in supporting Ukraine. We are also closely monitoring the impact of the situation in the Middle East on Ukraine. International attention toward Ukraine must not wane. We all need to maintain the will and the capability of supporting Ukraine. Japan will be with Ukraine for the coming winter and responding to Ukraine's evolving needs, especially the energy sector. Japan will continue to provide tailored and seamless assistance to contribute to the better recovery of Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Japan. And now we heard all the G7 participants, so many thanks to you all. I will now turn to the next level and have many more high-level participants. I will start with my neighbor, Mr. Rafael Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. And thank you very much, EBRD President.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear friends, dear Dennis. Great pleasure for the IAEA to be here with you. I want to highlight 4 areas in which the agency is supporting the effort that you all are also partaking in. First of all, the IAEA, since the beginning of the war, has been present all over Ukraine. We have permanent deployments in all nuclear power plants, Rivne, Khmelnytsky, South Ukraine, and of course Chernobyl and Zaporizhia, which is of course a case apart in terms of its gravity. What's important also to indicate is that we have, in view of the recent developments in terms of the military operations, we have started an unprecedented exercise of providing technical support and advice on the electrical grid, and especially the substations which are servicing the whole country, but in particular the nuclear power plants. As you know, the nuclear infrastructure of this country is at this moment the most important source of energy in the very difficult circumstances. So we are doing that, and this morning I had the pleasure to sign with Minister Smihal a new understanding whereby we are going to enlarge and strengthen that technical support. Today, some of you, maybe all of you, will be visiting Chernobyl, and in this regard, our work there, in fact, started 2 weeks after 26 April 1986 and has never stopped. We have been partnering very successfully with EBRD. Odile Renovasso has indicated this as well. And we, you may have noted that last November we issued a very comprehensive technical report where we describe the consequences of the impact on the roof of the new safety building, containment building, which was extremely damaging. And on the basis of it, the new campaign in terms of resource mobilization has started, and we are intending to accompany this process. It is essential that this is repaired. The repair work is going to be far, unfortunately, more ambitious and important than initially envisaged. The last point I would like to mention, as by way of an update for all of you, is what has to do, of course, with reconstruction and the future. The minister was describing plans for it, and of course the IAEA is going to be supporting Ukraine in terms of technical, regulatory advice for a new nuclear deployment, for SMR deployment, and also research and development into a number of areas. There was also mention to the corporate reforms that have been mentioned, and the establishment, which we celebrate, of a supervisory board led by a distinguished Canadian. And of course the IAEA, together with the World Association of Nuclear Operators, is going to be providing support and advice. So it's a pleasure for the IAEA to be participating in this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grossi. I turn now to Ms. Tatiana Molcian from the UN Under-Secretary General. You have the floor, please.
Thank you so much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. As many of the previous speakers already mentioned, the upcoming winter will see a tense energy situation at the global level, and as the continued consequences of the war against Ukraine will combine with the grave impact of the widespread conflict in the Middle East and the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. So with this global outlook, the energy situation in Ukraine will continue to be critical, and depending on the weather condition, possibly one of the most severe seasons since 2022. Now we at UNECG, alongside with the whole of the UN family, with the country team here on the ground, have been supporting the country in facing this emergency as part of the task force through technology support, but also practical solutions. I would like to look forward to speak what we can do more, and not only to this winter, but beyond that. And I would like to highlight 3 points from the priorities that have been presented, and very concrete, leaving the details for later discussion. And the first are the actions meant to ensure decentralization and increasing the share of renewable energy, which in fact are the quickest and cheapest way to provide electricity quickly, yes, for now. But the development, and I think, Deputy Prime Minister, you've mentioned this in your presentation, the development of decentralized energy islands must come with the integration into the existing centralized network, and we stand ready to support the authorities in achieving this progressive and smooth integrations through our work on digitalization and energy connectivity. Here, speaking about renewables, but also energy efficiency, I would like to underline the potential still untapped of the new law that you have, or amended law on public-private partnerships. So you have now an amazing new instrument to speed up some of the recovery and the processes. And I know it's not only us at, for example, UECG, but many of those present here in this room have worked on this new legislation. So let's use this new tool. Second point, and having the commissioner here who is in charge both of energy but on housing, is bringing local authorities more actively in being part of the solution. So the cities, most of all. We have had and still have one of projects which is called UN for Ukraine Cities project that allowed us the preparation of the master plans for 2 cities, Mykolaiv and Kharkiv, and where now, for example, we are working with them with the implementation, which include a new vision for energy at local level, where energy security, affordability and sustainability are combined to power and heat the homes and the livelihoods of the inhabitants. Last point. Third point, as we are gathered today, as we commemorate 40 years of this catastrophe of Chernobyl, we cannot not speak about nuclear power. Yes, it is an issue that requires special attention, and under the authority of the Director General, who knows much more about this and can talk about this, and we'll talk later, but also we need to look at this as a part of the energy solution and energy security. We have been engaged in this, bringing the right role of nuclear power in the energy mix. So this is another area that we should continue working when it comes to full system cost, when it comes to ensuring that nuclear safety is also part of the energy system resilience and security, not as a standalone technical issue. With that, I will stop. I hope we can continue discussion on these very practical issues. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I will now turn to Minister Lars Aagaard, Minister of Denmark.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues, dear friends. It's great to see you all here in Kiev. Many of us has been before, so let me start by express how grateful, what a great honor it is to meet here and to discuss what we can do to help the Ukrainian people. From the very beginning of the full-scale invasion, Putin has shown a complete disregard for Ukrainian civilians, completely. Cutting off heating and electricity has been a main priority for Russia from day one. So whatever we can do to support the resilience of the Ukrainians and the Ukrainian energy system, we must do. I'm here representing Denmark, and I want to use this opportunity to confirm our full commitment. We will continue to support Ukraine, and since the start of the full-scale invasion, Denmark has provided a total of 130 million euros in energy support. And relative to our GDP, Denmark is the largest donor to Ukraine across military, financial and humanitarian assistance. But unfortunately, Denmark is a small country, so we know that the numbers are big and much more help is needed. The winter that will come will clearly be difficult. It was encouraging to hear how you are preparing for the next winter. It gives hope. And as donors, we must coordinate and we must listen. Only the Ukrainians know the realities on the ground. We must let their priority be our guide. And I appreciate how today you have clearly outlined your most urgent needs and how we can assist. We must help rebuild and create a more resilient energy system. And here, decentralization is a key priority. Decentral solutions enhance reliability. That makes it possible to get back online faster, and they pave the way towards an energy system of the future. We also want to help Ukraine integrate with the EU energy market, and that will require market reforms, and many of these are already underway, and I salute you for that. And Denmark will be ready to support the process. Like other partners, we are working closely with Ukrainian institutions and sharing our knowledge, and we will continue to do so on the path towards EU inclusion. The road ahead is not easy, but increasingly it's a two-way street. And I thank you, my dear Ukrainian colleague and friends, for the support that Ukraine also gives to us when it comes to drone and knowledge into how we can protect our energy system. It's a privilege to work with you, Ukrainians and other partners. Thank you for the floor.
Thank you very much. I will now first turn to the EIB and Mr. Karl Nehammer, who is EIB Vice President. Please.
Thank you. Ministers, commissioners, partners, Ukraine's energy system remains functional but fragile. Continued attacks on energy infrastructure means that resilience, especially looking ahead to the 2026-2027 winter, remains one of the country's most critical priorities. Sustained international support is therefore essential to keep the system stable and to avoid backsliding from the progress achieved under extremely difficult conditions. The Winter Energy Plan 2026-2027, announced by Presidents von der Leyen, Costa and Zelensky, provides a clear framework under the banner Repair, Rebuild, Restart. Within the overall 920 million euro package, the EIB is contributing to the EU's energy commitments through a range of programs covering district heating, municipal infrastructure, residential energy efficiency, hydropower stability, and electricity grid resilience. We recognize the impressive emergency repair efforts delivered so far. The priority now is to shift decisively from crisis response to more structured, well-prepared investments that strengthen resilience and preparedness over the medium term. Given the enormous scale of reconstruction needs, financing alone will not be sufficient. It must go hand in hand with strong policy frameworks, sector reforms, sound corporate governance, and the financed sustainability of key state-owned energy operators. Continued coordination among partners will be critical to ensure impact, prioritization, and long-term viability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now turn to Mr. Andres Sut, who is the Minister of Energy and the Environment for Estonia. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for convening this meeting in an important moment in time when we also mark the 40th anniversary of Chernobyl catastrophe. So for Estonia, supporting Ukraine is our most important foreign policy objective. Ukraine must remain in the focus of Europe and of a free world. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East should not divert us to increase the pressure on Russia and to continue to support Ukraine. This is our duty. The video we were shown made it crystal clear. Russia is deliberately destroying Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Russia is deliberately attacking civilian lives in Ukraine. That is why ongoing assistance to Ukraine and sustained pressure on Russia, including on its energy income, must continue together. Estonia fully supports the Repower EU plan to end all Russian energy imports. We have agreed to stop Russian LNG imports by January 27 and pipeline gas by September 27. The next step must be to stop all Russian imports, to end all Russian oil imports as well. The momentum to make crucial EU decisions is now here. The 90 billion loan is approved. We now should move to deployment. The previous winter was particularly difficult for the Ukrainian people, with significant destruction causing remarkable security of supply issues and the huge suffering of people. We should therefore do our utmost that this experience would not repeat itself in the next winter. Therefore, I urge everyone to reinforce Ukraine's energy sector through any available channel. And as Denis, you mentioned, Ukraine Energy Support Fund is a valuable instrument. We contribute 2 million euros in last December. We also have worked with our companies to deliver generators, transformers, our critical equipment, and we continue to identify additional needs as the situation evolves. We must stand together to ensure our Ukrainian friends will not be left in the cold as they were during the last winter. In 27 we will host Ukraine Recovery Conference in Tallinn, and this large-scale event is going to be organized in close cooperation with Ukraine and our Nordic-Baltic neighbors. Estonia supports Ukraine's independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity, and this support remains steadfast. We continue comprehensive political, diplomatic, military and development assistance to Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Estonia. I pass the floor to Ms. Sari Multala, who's the Minister of Climate and Environment for Finland. The floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Chair. Dear colleagues, Finland, we stand in full solidarity with Ukraine, and we of course condemn Russia's deliberate targeting of civilians and civilian energy infrastructure in clear violation of the international and humanitarian law. We will remain by your side, both in addressing urgent needs and in the long term. Last winter in Ukraine was exceptionally harsh. We know we had the similar conditions, but we had the electricity and the heat. And it is hard to imagine what it has been like for everyone living here. But Ukrainians showed extraordinary resilience. Ukraine endured, and this attempt failed. Spring has now arrived, but preparations for the next winter, they cannot wait. We are providing concrete assistance. Critical equipment such as generators has been delivered through the EU Civil Protection Mechanism, with further energy sector support already in the pipeline. Through the Civil Protection Shelter Coalition, co-led by Finland and Ukraine, we are also supporting the construction of civilian shelters to strengthen resilience in harsh winter conditions. Stabilizing the energy system also requires protecting critical infrastructure. Finland has delivered defense material to Ukraine worth 3.2 billion euros. Earlier this week, our government reinforced this commitment by deciding on an additional 300 million euros in support for Ukraine. We have also increased our humanitarian assistance to 22 million euros in 2026, addressing the acute needs of civilians, including winter preparedness, heating, shelter, and repairs to essential infrastructure. At the same time, business-to-business cooperation between Ukraine and Finland remains strong. Finnish companies stand ready to continue working alongside Ukrainian partners wherever their expertise can make a difference in supporting Ukraine's resilience and recovery. In this sector, I believe there is growing potential in both short-term energy cooperation and also for further projects such as SMRs for district heating. It is essential that we continue to strengthen our support and cooperation, especially as we prepare together for the next winter. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Finland. I turn now to Mr. Sigimantas Vaičiūnas, Minister of Energy of the Republic of Lithuania. The floor is yours.
Thank you, dear moderator, dear Mitchell, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends. Today we have a twofold mission. So one mission is of course to commemorate the disaster which has been 40 years ago, and the second is of course to mobilize all the efforts to support Ukraine for the upcoming winter. And here, of course, first of all, I would like to stress to the historical picture. Just 40 years ago, the liquidators was sacrificing their lives to prevent the contamination. And now the energy fighters in Ukraine, they are sacrificing their lives, and they are fighters for the light, for the electricity, for the heating. And we are witnessing that the Ukrainian energy people, energy workers, are the best in the world and the most resilient. But we need to support them. So despite the extraordinary resilience, the system remains structurally vulnerable. After 2024-2026 winter, Ukraine still faces a significant generation gap, as Minister Denis just presented. So here, against this backdrop, preparations for winter preparedness and also for 2026-2027 must focus on lessons learned and strengthening our efforts. Firstly, strengthening grid flexibility and rapid repair capacity. This includes mobile substations, transformers, and reserve equipment, as well as faster logistics through improved coordination mechanisms such as EU civil protection mechanisms. Logistics is a key. Time is of essence. So what lessons we learned? Speed and flexibility saves lives. Lithuania learned that rapid political decisions, simplified administrative procedures, and close coordination between institutions are essential. In crisis conditions, traditional procedures are often too slow. During the most critical winter months, delays or even a few weeks can translate into prolonged blackouts affecting entire regions. So delays in equipment delivery or repairs can have a system-wide consequences. So now time is to act right now. And here, Lithuania during this critical winter period, during January, April, provided more than 170 transformers, 70 generators, all other equipments. So we also have before supported Ukraine by transporting the entire power plant. However, some parts of that has been destroyed. So here I would like to clearly emphasize that air defense systems are of the critical importance. Because I have witnessed just yesterday that is time to time tens of missiles are attacking the power plants. So here not only to repair but also to defend. And here these 90 billion euros, 60 of them dedicated for the defense is really critical. So we have to make that also practical to support the systems as soon as possible. Lithuania also has deliberately aligned its support to Ukraine with strategic priorities moving beyond short-term emergency aid towards systemic, resilient energy solutions. A practical example of this development is solar power plants and storage systems in 26 public buildings, including kindergartens, schools, and hospitals. This includes projects supporting healthcare services in Kiev and 14 other regions in Ukraine, where clinics are equipped with, to maintain operations even during prolonged power disruptions. And I have witnessed yesterday during visiting the hospitals that even the seconds matters and seconds saves the lives of the people. So this is really, we are implementing this program continuously and looking forward for the even additional funding to support that project. Lithuania remains committed to this effort, not only through material support, but also through sharing experience in system reforms and European integration. So first of all, I would like to congratulate Ukraine on adopting energy market integration law, which is really important for the further integration towards the EU. It is a clear message. Europe can act together at scale and under pressure. But it is also a reminder that we must continuously improve how we can act by strengthening coordination systems, accelerating procedures, and focusing on long-term resilience. Because for Ukraine, energy today is not just about electricity. It's about survival, stability, and future of the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much also to Lithuania, Zigmantis. Now I turn to Mr. Dorin Yongitu, the Minister of Energy of the Republic of Moldova, please.
Thank you, Chair. Esteemed colleagues, the government of the Republic of Moldova has been annually approving, starting from 2022, the plan of measure for the preparation of the heating season, implemented through a governmental decision. Through this plan, the risks of an energy crisis during the heating season, the period of highest energy consumption, were significantly reduced. However, just a month ago, on the 23rd of March 2026, Russia deliberately attacked our main interconnection line with the European Union, with Romania, Isaccea-Vulcănești overhead power line. On behalf of the Republic of Moldova, I would like to express our gratitude to Ukraine, to Ukrenergo workers who just in a matter of 5 days were able to make all the efforts and to restore this vital line that prevented us to go to another energy crisis. And thanks to the 5 regional TSOs, to their efforts under the leadership of the European Commission and MCOE, we were able to avoid a serious blackout, a complete blackout in the country. For the 2026-2027 season, a new preparation plan is to be approved, which will be built on the gained experiences from the previous years and on the provision of the existing regulatory framework. The plan will include measures related to the establishing and maintenance of natural gas stocks, mainly stored in Romania and in Ukraine, as well as the safeguarding of critical infrastructure of vital importance, including the coordination with neighboring countries. Its development and implementation will be supported by the Secretariat of Energy Community. On the Vulcanești-Chișinău overhead power line, the overhead line was completed in December 2025, financed through a loan from World Bank, and the substations will be ready in May and June 2026. This project has a significant strategic importance. It allows Moldova to bypass the Transnistria region, which has been a critical vulnerability in our energy system. This makes our grid more resilient, heading into the next winter. The pipeline of private renewable and storage investment projects is a direct contribution to winter preparedness for 2026-2027. With regard to the mutual support, countries and organizations can assist each other in several concrete ways. First, through regional coordination of gas storage, optimize cross-border flows, and the efficient use of interconnections. Second, through the exchange of operational data, joint risk assessment, and the organization of simultaneous simulation exercises for emergency situations. Third, through financial and logistical support for the procurement of critical equipment, transformers, network components, generators, heating equipment, and backup fuel. Fourth, through accelerating the integration of electricity and gas markets, allowing energy to flow rapidly where it is most needed. The energy security of Ukraine is not only a national issue, but also a matter of regional and European security. The better prepared Ukraine is for the winter of 2026-2027, the more resilient the entire region becomes. Therefore, preparedness must go beyond crisis response and include preventive investments, regional solidarity, and coordinated actions amongst governments, operators, international financial institutions, and regional organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Now I will turn to Minister Miloš Motika of the Republic of Poland, please.
Thank you, dear Deputy Prime Minister, Commissioner, Ministers, Presidents, ladies and gentlemen. We meet at a very serious moment. Ukraine is already preparing for the next winter while Russia continues to attack energy infrastructure and to use energy as a weapon against civilians. Poland understands very well that energy security is not only a technical issue. It's a condition for the survival of the state, for the functioning of hospitals, schools, homes and business. That's why Poland remains the largest logistical and energy hub for Ukraine. We have organized and coordinated large-scale humanitarian and technical assistance at an unmatched scale. This includes generators, heaters, transformers, and other equipment essential to keep critical services functioning. Polish companies are already helping to secure supplies to Ukraine. We delivered 600 million cubic meters of gas to Ukraine in 2025 and a further 300 million cubic meters only in the first 3 months of this year. These volumes are based on LNG delivered through Polish infrastructure. Polish supplies already cover around 1/3 of Ukraine's diesel demand and around 1/4 of its total fuel imports. Renewable fuel deliveries are essential for military mobility, logistics, and the functioning of critical services. At the same time, we see clearly what is needed now. Ukraine needs generators, transformers, spare parts, fuel, gas for storage, of course, and financing for projects that can be implemented before winter. We should focus on concrete deliveries, short decision-making paths, and better coordination between donors between our countries. Poland will continue to support Ukraine, but we all are ready to work with Ukraine, the European Commission, G7 partners, and international financial institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Poland. I have Norway, the Norwegian ambassador, Mr. Lars Ragnar Orlerud Hansen, Norwegian Ambassador, please.
Thank you. Deputy Prime Minister, Ministers, distinguished colleagues. Thank you for your assessment and for convening this important discussion here today. Russia's continued attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure have left civilians without power in freezing temperatures and have cost innocent lives. We condemn Russia's continued aggression, which remains the greatest threat to European and transatlantic security. Norway stands firm among Ukraine's strongest supporters. This year, like last, our total support amounts to 85 billion Norwegian kroner, approximately 8 billion euros. Given Russia's targeting of the energy system, stable energy supply can only be ensured in conjunction with protective measures, in particular air defense. This year, we will contribute 6.3 billion euros in military support, much of it towards air defense capabilities. Support to the energy sector remains the largest component of Norway's civilians assistance program, amounting to approximately 450 million euros. Of this, 450 million euros is earmarked for nuclear safety. Nuclear power plants remain the primary source of electricity. Beyond reducing the risk of nuclear accident, Norway's support helps ensure the continued operation of these facilities and the supply of electricity to the Ukrainian population. We are also preparing additional funding in support of the upcoming heating season. As the war rages on, our collective efforts must remain focused on repairing and rebuilding damages. However, we must not lose sight of the future. Ukraine needs a more distributed and sustainable energy system. We welcome recent reform decisions, and as we develop our strategic partnership with Ukraine, Norway aims to invest more in the solutions of tomorrow, and we urge Ukraine to treat increased energy efficiency and sustainability as a policy priority in order to build a more efficient and resilient energy system. It is not only the front that must hold in this war. Ukrainian society and the economy relies on energy, and without support of the economy and the society, there is no front. Support to Ukraine's energy security is therefore an investment in European security. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Norway and the Ambassador. Last but not least, before we conclude, I would like to ask Artur Lukowski, who is Director of the Energy Community Secretariat and online with us. Artur, the floor is yours.
Dear Minister, dear Commissioner, Excellencies, 600 million has been contributed to the Ukrainian Energy Support Fund since November 2025. It underlined the donors' trust in the fund and in the Energy Community Secretariat as a fiduciary of this fund. But more importantly, it enabled accelerated procurement of urgently needed equipment for the Ukrainian energy system. More than 1,000 contracts have been concluded, and millions worth of equipment has been delivered or is in the delivery to Ukraine right now. But the preparation for the next winter must start now. That is why today's presentation by the Ministry of Energy of the priorities for the next winter is very, very timely. More importantly, the Ministry submitted to the Energy Community Secretariat support requests identified by the companies. Those support requests are expected to cover the repair needs of infrastructure which has been damaged by Russia in the last winter. We must use this summer window for advancing the preparedness of the Ukrainian resilience. For that, additional fresh money is needed. The volume of and the value of the support request delivered by Ministry to the Secretariat exceeds the available funds by 80 to 890 29 million euro. Urgent repayments can start only upon this money will be funded by donors. The Secretariat stands ready to support donors in channeling new donations to address those needs. And this message will be kindly reiterated in a joint statement by the Secretariat and the Ministry upon the completion of this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Artur, for the energy community. We will now conclude this session of the Ukraine Energy Coordination Group. I would like to ask my Commissioner Dan Jørgensen, followed by Denis Mihau, the First Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you all for your contributions today, and let me be very practical in my concluding remarks. Together with my services and the Energy Community Secretariat, we will support Ukraine in delivering the pending market reforms. The Joint Energy Action Plan prepared by the European Commission will provide a guide for the next heating season. Based on your feedback, we will prepare an update ahead of the Ukraine Recovery Conference taking place in Gdansk in June. This will also be a perfect opportunity for a physical ministerial meeting of G7 Plus Energy Ramstein. Please mark in your calendars the 25th and 26th of June. I will also use all of my bilateral contacts with EU member states and global donors and the industry representatives to highlight the urgent energy equipment needs for Ukraine. We will take stock of this in Gdansk. Meanwhile, energy security lessons from Ukraine will be the topic for the conference in May, hosted by German colleagues in Berlin, where we can also meet in the G7 Plus format. Denis has also set up the operational level coordination here in Kiev. Together with our co-chair France, we will make sure to inform and engage the global donor community regarding the outstanding needs and energy support pipeline monitored in Kiev. Thank you.
Distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for the productive and constructive work we have done together today. Ukraine deeply values the contribution of every country, every international organizations and every financial institution to strengthen our energy resilience. This is a partnership that has been tested over the years. I would like to thank European Commissioners Marta Kost, Dan Jørgensen and Valdis Dombrovskis for Europe's unwavering solidarity with Ukraine and for your personal efforts in advancing the integration of energy space. I'm grateful to EBRD President Odile Novosov for many years of close cooperation together with the bank. Ukraine is currently implementing 13 projects that cover the entire energy value chain. My thanks to EIB Vice President Karl de Hammer. Thank you. With the European Investment Bank, we are currently implementing 8 energy projects with a particular focus on recovery and gas imports. I would also like to express my gratitude to IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi. We especially value the continued presence of the agency's experts at all operating nuclear power plants in Ukraine, including Chernobyl, as we talked today about, and the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. My thanks to the US Special Representative Joshua Waltz and to Special Advisor of Secretary Wright. Thank you so much for your presence here today. We are committed to deepening cooperation with the United States as a strategic partner, including in energy equipment, LNG supplies, and broader energy resilience. I would also like to thank Michael Shanks for the strong and effective partnership with the United Kingdom, Special Envoy of the President of the French Republic. Thank you so much for staying together with us and co-chairing because of the presidency of the G7 this third meeting on the level of ministers. Thank you so much, especially to my friends, ministers of energy of Poland, of Finland, of Denmark, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and Moldova. Thank you for staying here with us today in that absolutely dramatic day and very important events which we have held today. The representatives of Germany, Norway, Italy, Japan, and Canada. as well as the UN agencies supporting Ukraine's energy sector. Thank you so much to all of you. Today, we secured more than $100 million in partner commitments to the Ukraine Energy Support Fund, which will help us withstand the coming winter. A further 5.4 billion euros is included in the broader 90 billion euros financial support package approved by the European Council. We welcome this strategically important decision and grateful for such critical step. It provides certainly predictability and timely delivery of support. And it gives us confidence and belief that Ukraine, together with Europe and free world, will win this battle for life. Thank you so much. We will continue cooperate together with the Ukraine Energy Support Fund, which is, as I told, crucial instrument for fundraising additional equipment, funds, and all needed for our strengths. Thank you so much. Thank you.